I was facilitating a group counseling session, and fear was the topic of discussion. I'd asked everyone, what was their greatest fear growing up? And the resounding answer was the fear of the dark. Now, this wasn't surprising to me because I too was afraid of the dark when I was a kid. I remember going to sleep with the lights on, and my parents would turn it off when I fell asleep, only to wake up in the middle of the night, terrified. Luckily for me today, I've got remote-controlled lights, so I'm good. But the fear of the dark is the most common fear amongst children. And I know we'd all like to think that we've outgrown our fear of the dark, but I believe that that darkness just takes on different forms over the course of our lifetimes. It becomes the failed test, loss of a job, death of a loved one, and heck, all that might be happening to you in the midst of a global pandemic. As kids, we're given tools to combat our fear of the dark. A nightlight, a blankie, stuffed animal. But what about now? What am I given as an adult to combat my fear of the dark? I want to take you to my darkest time, and I want to share with you what I found in the dark that helped me combat it. It was a warm evening in June, night had fallen. I was 21 years old, in the best shape of my life and the best time of my life. Playing in a semi-professional football game, I was lined up in my position to do what I do best. Go down and tackle the man with the ball. I can still smell the grass. I can feel the beads of sweat dripping off my forehead. And I can hear the crowd, the energy of the crowd surging through my body. The play starts and I'm off. I see my target and I lower my shoulder to make the tackle, and crack. He goes down, I go down, he gets up, and something just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sound right either. Because I know that I made the play, but that ruckus crowd is now silent. I try to take my helmet off, and it's like I'm lost. I can't find it. Medical staff rush out to my side, and I can hear them yelling back and forth. I think it's C5, I think it's C6. At that time, I have no idea what that means. I glance to my right, and I see my teammates kneeling, and I do know what that means. Someone is hurt, and that someone is me. Now I've watched sports my entire life, and I've seen people get injured. And whether you're walking off, limping off, carried off, stretchered off, you do something to let the crowd know that you're going to be okay. A wave, a thumbs up, something to let them know that you'll be back. An ambulance would arrive, and as they get me on the stretcher and as they're wheeling me towards it, I am trying to let the fans know that I'm going to be okay. I want to wave. I want to put my thumb up. Something. Anything. But I just couldn't do it. I get rushed to the hospital where I'd find out C5, C6 was the level in which I had just broken my neck. A doctor comes in, informs me that I've suffered a spinal cord injury and I was being prepped for surgery. And with that devastating diagnosis, the day is over, my career is over, and I'm wondering, is my life over now too? I didn't want to believe what had just happened. It was almost like my brain couldn't let me believe it. There were so many times that I'd be asleep, and in my dream I'm walking around playing football, only to wake up to a nightmare of being confined to my bed or a wheelchair. I was in complete denial. And soon, I got angry. I was angry at myself, angry at the world, angry at my circumstances. All I wanted to do was get out of the hospital and go back to my life. After about 4 months, I got my wish. The doctor came in and informed me that they were drawing up my discharge papers. And I was released to go back to my life. Except this wasn't the life that I'd lived for 21 years. And with that, a new form of darkness had taken over. Depression. Now, I once heard depression defined as an inability to construct the future. When you're in the dark, it's hard to see where you are or where you're going. And I'm not alone. On average, more than 260 million people of all ages suffer from depression. And at its worst, depression can lead to suicide, which is the second leading cause of death among individuals ages 15 to 29. According to the National Academy of Medicine, an individual with a physical disability is 4 times more likely to suffer from depression. Entering this season of my life, I can see exactly why. Life for me felt 4 times harder. Dealing with the physical, emotional, social toll that living life with a disability had, dealing with the shame and guilt that comes from depending on other people, not to mention trying to navigate a world that wasn't built for me or with people like me in mind. It was a truly terrifying place to be. I was once again that scared little kid in the dark, except for this time, my fear wasn't manifested as the boogeyman under my bed. It was the uncertainty of my circumstances, along with the certainty that my life would never be the same. Sitting in my darkness, all I could ask was, what do I do now? How do I get through this? And do I even have what it takes? These are the questions of the dark. And while you may never break your neck on the football field, I do believe that life presents us all with circumstances that leaves us paralyzed by fear and looking for the answers to the questions of the dark. What do I do now? How do I get through this? And do I even have what it takes? In these moments that we're struggling, we've lost something. And when you're at rock bottom, it's hard to see a way up or a way out. In my darkest moment, I felt like I had nothing to live for. I didn't have a reason to live. And with every day that passed, it felt like my walls were closing in. As a way to get out of my house and out of my head, I began to volunteer at the local youth group. And something unexpected happened. I found a piece of myself again. I found purpose. They saw something in me that I couldn't yet see for myself. They believed in me in a time where I didn't believe in myself. And soon I found answers to questions that I was so desperately needing. What am I going to do now? I was going to use my life to positively impact people. And now with every day that passed, those walls that were once closing in, they began to fall away. After that, I set my sights on education because I wanted to be a better me, and education has always been a pathway to better yourself. My only problem was that I didn't have a greatest relationship with academia. Prior to being an athlete, me and school, we didn't get along. I went to a private university where I racked up some expensive Fs, only to transfer to a smaller university where I racked up some cheaper ones. But this time was going to be different. Because with my new goal centered on impact, it gave perspective to my path of education. Education was no longer the end-all be-all. Education was now a means to an end. It was a pathway to an ultimate goal. And I realized something. I was now constructing my future. I'd go on to get my undergrad degree, a master's degree, and today I continue my work as a counselor, coach, and community advocate. But how did I get here? Because I so remember the darkness, the depression, the unknown. And that answer is hope and action. I think we'd all like to think of hope as a feeling. But what if I told you that hope was more than that? That hope is a strategic plan that we can use to take action upon the darkest times of our life. When I was studying for my master's degree, I took a positive psychology class. And there I stumbled upon the science of hope. According to the Hope Research Center and the writings of C.R. Snyder, hope is comprised of 3 things: attainable goals, pathways to get to your goals, and a belief that you have what it takes. So in other words, when we pair hope and action, we can begin to find the answers to the questions of the dark. Because if those questions are, what do I do now? How do I get through? And do I have what it takes? It seems like those answers would be create new goals, find new paths, and generate belief. With my new goals centered on impact, I began to find pathways in my everyday life. This is volunteering, going to school, giving a compliment. Because the power of hope didn't just help me. It empowered me to help others. And I believe in the power of hope and the power of action for facing moments like these. Because when we use the science of hope, it could ignite that spark that drives us toward action. And we have to remember that life isn't just about us. It is about the people that we impact along the way. Because we all find ourselves in those moments where we can't identify our goals, or identify our past, or even find that belief in ourselves. But it's in those moments that we need others to shine a little light for us. Because sometimes it's our role in life to shine our light for others until they can find the light for themselves. And I know the dark is still a scary place, but it's also a place of development. Because while I found the tool of hope, I also found myself. And today, I still have dark moments. But when I use the power of hope and the power of action, it's like having remote-controlled lights. That is what the power of hope has done for me. That is what the power of hope can do for you. Because hope cultivated through tangible actions by an individual has the capacity to light up their life. Now imagine what harnessing that power could do for our community, do for our state, our country, or our world. Thank you.